they might enjoy the experience. So that's probably why some of them ain't going as well.
Okay,
You know? So
that's a good one.
That's that's
yeah, because you know, I mean, it's a, you know, like you got the G spot for the
Yeah,
G spot
yeah,
for the
yeah,
men,
yeah,
the
they
G's
do
in the
say
bottom.
You know
of the
about
G.
that?
Yeah, they do say
Okay.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's no one book.
Welcome to this episode of LL's The Truth. Now, I forgot to say in the last one, but good morning,
Yes.
Morning.
good afternoon,
Morning.
or good evening, depends on where you're listening
Evening.
from. Yes, or good night. So this episode is about, the question is, why are black men so adverse to getting their prostate checked? And the reason why I ask is because black men are the highest group of people prone to getting prostate cancer. This is a really serious topic. I think we all have somebody that are aware of us had prostate problems. I know I have. I don't know if... And what I've forgotten to do is to introduce my panel. I'm so rude. So I've got some really good friends with me. Paul.
Hi.
Dino, Mark, and Sharon, and they were so polite they didn't even pull me up. But hey, so you know, why are black men so adverse to getting their prostate checked? And I'm just going to run through one or two statistics around prostate cancer or prostate problems. First thing is that men have the highest, as I've said, propensity to getting prostate cancer. But there are two main reasons why, as a black man, you should get your prostate checked. And one is the ethnic group that you're within, and the other one is if you've got some history in the family. Is that right, Sharon?
Yeah. Your dad, brother, or your grandpa.
Right. Okay. So if you've got a
First
history,
degree.
yeah. Okay. So, and I've also heard that if you've got a close female relative who's had breast cancer, then you should certainly get yourself checked out. The other thing is that prostate cancer should be checked for those over 65, but certainly from the age of 50. But what I would say is that if you've got a history in the family, then you should be consulting your GP as early as possible to get yourself checked. Well, we go back to the question. Why do you think black men don't want to get their prostate checked?
Because they're scared that they're going to get a finger up there behind.
Oh,
So I've spoken to people and, right, so I had mine when I was 40, right? So I want to give you the background, right? I want to give you the background. Right, so I had my Wellman check when I was 40, and the person who done it was a black nurse. And obviously, you know, you do the whole weight, height, you know, your diet,
Yeah.
you know, heart disease, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, all those things I was fine. And then she said, oh, you know, have you had your prostate checked? And I went, well, no. And then she said, well, you know, have you got anyone in your family who's, you know, had any prostate cancer or problems with their prostate? And I said, well, yeah, actually I have. And she said, well, even though you're only 40, really what you need to do is have a check. And I said, okay. I said, but I didn't think, and she was like, well, this is the misconception that a lot of people don't think they need to. And she even said, well, your GP will probably say you don't need to check until you're 50 or in your mid 40s. So then she told me about a friend that she had who kind of never had no tests, didn't have no tests. And then when he was in his early 40s, realised he had prostate cancer, and she was saying, oh, you know, you have to have the biopsy, and that was painful. Then you had to have the surgery, and that was painful. You know, and you know, when he went to the toilet, it was painful when he went to the toilet. So she was saying, you know, if you can avoid them things while you're younger, you should. So have the test. And she said, yeah, you know, it's going to be uncomfortable. She goes, but if you give the alternative, which is you're going to have something uncomfortable for a couple of seconds, to something that potentially could kill you,
Yeah.
or even if it didn't kill you, the surgery and everything else is going to be quite painful. Which one would you choose? And I said, well, yeah, I'd have that uncomfortable feeling. Yeah. So she said, okay, well, you know, speak to your GP. So I went, okay, I'm going to speak to my GP. Yeah. So I went to speak to my GP. I said, by the way, can I have a prostate test? And he went, well, yeah, but you're only, you know, you're only 40. And I went, yeah, but, you know, I've had it in my family, blah, blah, blah. And he says, no, but, you know, you don't need to have it till you're 50. And in fairness, it was as if he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And it seemed like he was more uncomfortable doing it than I should feel,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So I said, no, I'll have it. So he said, okay, so what you need to do is take off your trousers, you know, get on the bed, put your knees up to your chest, right? Put your knees up to your chest. I went, okay. Right, so I get up on the bed. I take off my trousers. I took off my trousers, pull them down like he says, get on the bed. I'm got my knees to my chest, but I'm on all fours like this. Right, he's put his glove on and he turned around and he's gone, no. I don't mean like that. I don't mean like that. It means lie on the bed and put your knees. Listen, but obviously, he did the examination, and I ain't gonna lie, it is a little bit uncomfortable. You know, 5-10 seconds, whatever. It is a little bit uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable to the point where you're feeling any pain. Yeah. Right. And obviously, you know, after, you know, when you get your results and he's saying, yeah, everything's fine, you know, your prostate feels normal, blah blah blah. It's reassuring.
Yeah.
It is reassuring. But I think that the problem now is that black males think that's how it is in terms of you have to have the finger test. Now, as far as I'm aware...
Hold on there, because I want to ask if anybody else, so Dino, Paul, is there any...
I had the check. I'm sure it was about 40 as well. But
what caused you to go and have a check?
I've always been encouraged by my dad. He says, go and get yourself checked out,
Right.
get your prostate checked out. That's what no, get your prostate checked, you know. I mean, you're young, innit? You're young, innit, if you do that. So go and get it done, I was thinking, I don't know about that. I want to know something about you know what I mean? Because something natural. But he says, go and get it done, go and do it. He said, and he shared his experience, said, why, you know, it was a bit, you know. And I said, Lord, gosh, I don't know if we can go do that. But I thought, you know what, let me go and do it, because it's beneficial to me. Yeah. So like you say, he says, you know, lie down on the bed and you see him put on him in glove box. I have to look upon him hand him. Make sure I'm not too big. So I lay down on my side, like Marcus said, lay down on his side. And the man just pushed him through. I said, no. And I winced, you know what I mean? I was like, no man, that's not right. It's not right at all. And he goes, okay, you're all done, it's all good. When I came off the bed, I felt, I never feel right. I was like, no man, it's not right.
Was you traumatised?
You know when people say people suffer from trauma, I've about a good month and a half I was there thinking, no man, this ain't right man, this ain't right. And I sat in my car for about 10 minutes after I left it and I was thinking, I feel like I'm being feel good man. No, and all kind of things are going through your head. And then I went home, chatted to a couple of friends them because they was going through the same process and they're looking to get the prostate checked. So I said, let me share my experience with them, and they says, boy, I said, yeah, I'm gonna have to get mine done as well, you know. But and they saying the same thing, they're not sure. And then when they had the same, when they went to get the check, they come back to me and said, you know man, I hear what you're saying, you know what I mean? It's a different kind of feeling, man. And it's like don't feel right at all. It don't feel right, but it's something that needed to be done. You have to have it checked, you know what I mean? And even after the check, and then obviously a couple of years down the line, I think I did it again. You know what I mean? Again, obviously it's for your well-being and stuff, so it's needed. But like I say, you don't feel right, and it's you know a thing that you just have to just.
It seems like you're still traumatised by it.
Just thinking about it, you know, bring me back to that place. You know? But one thing that a couple of friends said before as well, they said, suppose you go there now and you stick your finger up and you get, you know what I mean, aroused by it. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the thing with some black male, not just black men, but other men as well. Sometimes they may not want to go there because they're thinking if they might enjoy the experience. So that's partly why some of them ain't going as well.
Okay,
you know? So
that's a good one.
That's
because you know what I mean. It's a you know like you got the G spot for the one. The G spot for the man is in the bottom.
You know about that?
Yeah, they do say that.
I mean, it's no one book.
Okay, all right, Paul.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely still traumatized. Same as what Mark and Dino said. I went because of there's a history of it in my family. So my dad had it. So yeah, I was apprehensive about it. It's exactly the same thing. I can't say anything different.
Yeah.
Didn't want it. My sister, who was a nurse as well. So to be honest, she's going, come on, Paul, just get on with it, because as you said, there's the alternative is if there were to be something there to be sorted, you'd want it to be picked up early, sorted early, because if you did have prostate cancer, if it's picked up early, the success rate in treating it is amazing. So for me it was a no-brainer. It's just something what needed to be done. I just got it done. Yeah.
You've had no adverse effects after having.
Well, I have, to be honest. Mine's a long story. Okay, there was a period of time. I'm talking this now just to be serious, because especially with young men coming up.
Yeah.
So when I was in my 20s, I went through a period for some reason. I was passing blood in my urine, and obviously really worried about it and whatever else. So I had to have like a series of examinations, and I never forget the one, because to this day I'm vexed with the doctor even now, because they had to have a number of different tests, and one of them included again the digital thing. But they put me, which is the anaesthetic what knocks you out completely.
Yeah,
General, is it? Yeah, so I don't know. But when I came round, it's like round this area just went into spasm. And it was like really painful. I mean, I literally just remember coming around and went, and I was convinced, I mean, I wasn't awake, but I'm convinced that this doctor was like really rough and doing whatever. So all of these kind of things kind of play in your mind. So that did sort of put me off for a while. But again, I've had my sister around me kind of saying, look, regardless, you just got to do it. So,
Yeah, I mean, although we're laughing and we're making a joke of it, it is a really serious.
it is.
It's important to get checked.
Isn't it? So, and because I love my black men, I'm saying, please, I'd like you to be on the earth for much longer. So please do get yourself.
Can I just say, I think this is where an issue with us as black men, full stop. I think women generally sort of talk about things more openly, more freely.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I can't recall really having just a general conversation with my man them about
that's true,
about the prostate. I don't think it's happened. I mean, me and Dino have spoken about it, but it's not something that generally you hear us. We don't talk about it. Whereas it should be something that's you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The conversations that I've had is, I don't want no one putting a hand up my body. I don't want no one putting their finger up. That's the conversation you have. And then when you try and say, so that used to be the excuse. And I used to always use my experience and say to them, listen, this happened to me. This is what happened. And I make fun of it. But I say, listen, either way, I had it done. Nothing happened. And if something did happen, something positive would have come out of it, because then I'd know. And then, as you say, you've caught it early. But the thing now is, you don't even need to have that test. You can have the blood test. So I'm trying to say to people, same brothers, I'm trying to say, listen, you don't even need to have that anymore. So I'm in a WhatsApp group chat where the majority of our black men, and there's about 50 of us. So we talk about those stuff on the chat, but we don't actually talk about it face to face. But I'll say, and someone said, "Oh, has anyone had this?" And I've said, "Yeah." "Oh, what was it like?" I don't want to know. No one putting their hand up. Blah 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 blah. Right. So I've said, "Well, I've had it." I said, "But it doesn't matter now, because you don't need to have it. You just need to have the blood test." But you're still getting people saying, "I don't want it."
It's
because
fear,
they're scared.
It is fear, because
They're
it's
scared.
no different. It's no different to like if women are having a smear test.
Yeah.
They hear, you never hear of somebody coming back to you and saying, "Oh, my smear was great."
No,
that would be
not at all.
wrong. But you would hear the negatives.
Yeah.
And those negatives is embedded in other people's minds. It's like, well, that was a bad experience for that person, so I'm not going for mine. And that's the wrong way of doing it. But it's the same as the prostate.
I think the fear is also finding something as well.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
The unknown.
I'd rather not know.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So fear of finding out something, and the fear of, well, what they're going to have to do then.
Yeah.
Will I lose my manhood? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that in itself, from just a man in general, to lose his manhood or lose, lose testicles or whatever, you know, it's a big thing for them. So they'd rather they'll know rather not know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than go out and find something and think, oh gosh, and then this is going to have to happen, and this and it's all that kind of stress that that leads onto that as well. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I mean, I just think if there's a message to get across, really, it's just the importance of put aside all your fears and whatnot and get it done. A friend of mine, unfortunately, 5 years ago now, he died because of cancer, and to this day, one of the things that it wasn't prostate cancer, but to this day, you know, when I think about it, there's part of me that gets angry with him because there were certain signs.
Yes.
Right.
There were certain signs, and I believe he went into denial.
Yeah.
And so, because even when his wife was saying to him, "Look, you've lost a lot of weight," I've said to him, "Brethren, well, go on, you've lost a lot." You know? And then he, I remember at one point he even said, "God, what are you trying to say? I've got cancer or something." And we said, "Well, we're not saying that, but something's happening. Go and get it checked out." And this was someone who was alive to the issues with cancer because he had lost his sister some years before. So to this day, I think it was just fear. So
And he probably knew about it anyway,
absolutely.
but it was just knowing they're going to tell him, well, you've got this, and then it's complete shutdown.
Absolutely. Whereas you just think, well, okay, if you get it checked early,
That's right.
you increase the chances of you know being successfully
I
treated.
think that's the thing with us as well. We know when something's wrong with our bodies.
Yeah.
We know, we can tell, we can sense something. So, and like I say, sometimes it's the fear of going to find out and getting that and hearing it to say, this is what the problem is.
Yeah.
So, like I say, they'd rather just shut themselves away and just say, you know what, I don't want to know. If
I think
whatever happens,
it's
it happens.
one of those as well. If you know something doesn't feel right, and you're being fobbed off by your GP, you know it's nothing, but you know fair well there's something wrong. You have to pursue it, because even though they say yes, it's 40 when you've got to detect the cancer, prostate cancer. There's people that I know that's younger than that, in his 30s, and had cancer. And luckily they had the surgery to remove them cancer cells. But if it was left any longer, it would have spread basically. You know, so it's important to go and get it checked.
I think there's a mixture of fear, what you're going to do if you hear the wrong outcome, and then there's that bit of mistrust about going into hospital and this, that, and the other. But the overwhelming situation is that you need to get yourself checked out. So you talked about some of the symptoms, so let's just explore what those symptoms may be. So for any of the viewers, that if you think that you might have prostate problems, not prostrate farm, then we're just going to go through them. So can you name any of the symptoms that there might be?
Yeah. When you go and use the toilet, it's on fire. That's right. So I want to just share this example. So one of my friends, his brother was having this problem, going to the toilet, pee was on fire, and it happened for a while. So that's automatically a sign that something's wrong anyway. Whether or not it's prostate cancer or not, it's automatically a sign. Yeah. So he never had his prostate checked. Never went and checked it out. Let it go on, to the point where it was really painful. So he's telling his brother it's really, really painful. And I think he got up one night, so my brethren's telling me one night, he got up in the middle of the night, he couldn't go to the toilet, he was in pain, right?
Why do you think he didn't go and seek
fear,
help?
like what like what Paul and Dino's been saying. It's fear, innit? Fear of the unknown. Don't want to be told. But it got to the point where it was so much pain. He drove himself to the hospital.
Right.
Told them the symptoms, and they said, "Listen, we need to do some surgery today, right?" And this, I suppose, this is where it's funny, but it's not funny. So he lives with his girlfriend, and he's just gone left. Hasn't said nothing to her, Gone left because he's in that much pain. He ain't got time to stop.
Yes.
He's just gone left. So imagine he's there for, I don't know, a day, whatever, and his girl's ringing him, and he's not answering phone because he's obviously had the surgery, right? So I think his girl then rings his brother and says, "Oh, he's not here, blah, 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 blah. He's with some next girl, blah." As you would do, he's not there, he's not answering his phone, he's with some next girl, he's left in the middle of the night. But he's rang his brother and said, "Oh, I'm at the hospital. I was going to the toilet. It's been happening for however many weeks or months. Got so much pain. I'm here. I've had surgery, right? and he's saying, don't tell my girlfriend. Don't tell,
So
don't tell,
peculiar.
because it goes back to what you're saying about that less of the man
manhood.
thing. Yeah, less of the man thing. Right. So anyway, cut a long story short. Obviously, you know, he's told his girl, and this girl saying, "Well done." He said, "You was suffering with this for so long, right? Why didn't you just come and tell me?" And he says, "Because I didn't want to bother no one. I didn't want to burden anybody with anything." So he's feeling like he can't go and tell his girl again because he's thinking, I'm going to bother with something. He don't want to go and get it checked out himself because he's thinking, well, if I go and check, they're going to tell me something that's wrong, which obviously there was something wrong. And at the same time, he's thinking, well, it's going to make me less of a man if there is something wrong
Yeah.
and I need to have something done. But for me, the story is at the end of the day, if there's something wrong or you've got these symptoms, especially that symptom, which is an obvious one, go and get it checked out.
Yeah.
You have to get it checked out. Because he was in so much pain with the surgery as well because of what they needed to do.
Yeah.
So he's not only got the pain of the symptom itself, he's also got the pain of the rectifying,
Wow.
you know, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta listen to the symptoms and do something about it.
What I meant to say before we go on to some of the other symptoms is that you can have prostate problems for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Because some people may die and have prostate, but that's not the reason why they've died. So that I found that quite interesting to know because I know that my granddad did have prostate, but that's not the reason why he died.
Okay,
So
that's interesting.
It's a I don't know if you'd call it a long-term illness that can be managed. But yeah, I just found that very interesting. So we're going to go through some of the other symptoms then. So what do you think? Because I've got here going to the loo many times of the day
Passing
and the
blood.
burning sensation.
Oh yeah,
Passing blood.
Passing blood, yes. Painful ejaculation as well is one. And I've got here frequent pain or stiffness and dribbling in urine. Okay. So my advice to anybody, if you've got a brother, if you've got any nephews, nieces, any male relatives, please encourage them to go and get checked. It may be uncomfortable, it may be a bit embarrassing, but in the long term, it's definitely the best option to take. Please go and see your GP and get your checks done. Thank you for listening.